only came out after dark.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ron Ford. We are getting ready to start our Kane County Development Committee. Is of the hour of about 10:35. Could we get roll call, please?
Furman,
Furman is here.
Doherty,
Right here.
Iqbal, Kenyon,
Yes, sir.
Linder,
Good to hear.
Davist,
Guys present.
Williams,
Williams here.
Ford,
Board present.
Tepe.
Cheppy here.
You have decorum in the, or quorum in the room.
All right, and I believe Darty has requested attendance by remote. Seeing if there's no objections, we will move on. All right, seeing none. Can we get approval of minutes from June 20th,
Mr.
23?
Chair, this is Caius. I would request that we, by unanimous consent, approve the minutes of June 20th, 2023 with a minor modification that I had mentioned in the first meeting, but actually applied to the development meeting.
Okay, we know what that is.
Scribner's error
Yeah.
at the end,
Yeah,
just the vote.
all right. Did we get a second? Well, we just unanimous, right?
Yeah,
So
if there's no objection.
objections? All right, we can move forward. All right. Monthly finance report. All right, I believe it's attached. Staff, I guess, is available if there's any questions. Seeing none. All right, we're gonna move forward. I believe for public comments, we have a gentleman here that's willing to ask any questions if needed. Other, I don't see anybody in the audience. Maybe he's online. Maybe. All right, so then our next building and zoning division. The zoning report.
Good morning, Mark
Good
Mark
morning.
Van Kirkhoff, for the report. A couple of things. One, some really good news to report. We did have since February, a vacancy for one of our building inspector positions. We have been able to fill that position, and new inspector started yesterday morning. He's out in the field getting
Right.
trained as we speak. So we're very grateful for that. The other part of our report, which is a bit unusual, mainly because we don't always have tornadoes that impact unincorporated areas to the extent that happened this past week. And 6 of our team on Thursday last week assisted the Office of Emergency Management, met at the command base center they set up at a forest preserve. Worked with them to divide up and get through the various neighborhoods that were impacted during the day on Thursday. And I guess just a couple of things I wanted to note about that. One is I want to thank our team of inspectors and property code team who responded quickly that morning to come out and assist in the effort. And generally, residents really appreciated. A number of them mentioned they're surprised at how quickly people got out to them to visit and get them going damage assessment permits and seeing if they needed any help. Secondly, I got to firsthand witness the incredible work of our Office of the Emergency Management team and their volunteers and additional resources that were brought in, I believe, from DuPage and Will counties to assist later in the day. It really was something to watch and see. And then thirdly, want to mention that in viewing the damage, we're very grateful, as many of the residents were. It could have been much worse, to the extent that huge oak trees fell and literally just missed crushing homes and doing much more damage than they could have. Just missed a large church where young people were going for a youth event, a local stable that had 30 horses and a number of riding students that were sheltered inside. And so very grateful. It could have been much worse. And then lastly, just to comment on the community and resilience of the residents that were impacted. They were already out cleaning up, helping each other out, checking on each other. They are all very grateful for anything that was coming. Nobody complained to me about anything other than just being grateful that they were okay. And this says a lot for our unincorporated residents that live in many of our neighborhoods, like the ones that were impacted. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, that's our report.
All right, any questions? Mike, I guess I kind of have one. So when this happened, disaster like this happened, do we do free brush pickup for our neighbors? Or
That would be up to the Township Highway Commissioner in terms of what they did. That's not a service that the county typically does unless KDOT does along KDOT roads. I did know that there was along Bowes Road, KDOT crews that were doing a tree and brush removal along Bowes Road.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this subject?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Steppy here. I'll be happy to share some of the things that happened in the Edgewater community, which is in incorporated Elgin. But, you know, Kane County Emergency Services there, they worked in conjunction with the Elgin Police Department, with Elgin Services, with the Elgin Fire Department, and the Red Cross. There were a total of about 30 homes in Edgewater that were damaged to some extent, at least 10 of them quite severely. And, you know, the way the organizations cooperated and worked together was just phenomenal. In my community, and I've been very involved in this, getting nothing but compliments for Kane County Emergency Services and the city of Elgin. So the way the disaster relief worked here in Kane County is just quite commendable. So, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we're gonna move right into our zoning petitions. And our first one is petition 4610. Mark, you have the,
I have a presentation for you this morning. Blair will put up. Great, thank you. Our zoning board of appeals met last Tuesday night regarding three petitions, actually. One petition was continued. Two petitions are before you this morning. The first one is 4610, the Flint Trust rezoning of a portion of the property from F District Farming to F1 rural residential to allow the existing home to be sold separately from the farmland. This is its location on the 2040 land use map. You can see it's in an area that's planned for agriculture. Here it is on our zoning map. You can see it's everything white is zoned F District Farming. There are quite a few actually, other F1 rezoned parcels in the vicinity and a 1B3 just to the east. This would take a long stretch of farmland and separate a little bit off for a new F1. Here is in the aerial, you can see that it is predominantly agriculture dotted with some farmsteads and residences. Here's a close-up along Lasher Road and Swan Road just to the west. Here's a little bit closer up. And closer up, you can see there is an existing residence on this parcel. This would allow the area in red to be parceled off and sold off separately from the farmland. Here's a plat of the survey for the proposed new parcel and F1 zoned lot. Staff recommended comments. Rezoning will allow the existing home to be sold off from the remaining farmland, which is the basic intent of the F1 zoning category. Staff recommended stipulations. There were some from Water Resources and from the Health Department regarding the well and septic system. Regional Planning Commission, it was not applicable. Zoning Board of Appeals recommended approval, and it's before you this morning. If there's any questions.
Question?
Can we get a motion in a
I would
second?
make the motion. Kenny
Alright.
would make.
Caius would second.
Get a motion in a second. Any questions or comments? A-ball?
Yeah, I'd like to know the impact on the ingress and egress of the remaining property.
Certainly. So the new parcel will is not as wide as the current existing parcel. So there'd be an existing strip that would still be owned by the land to the back. This illustrates a little bit better. You can see on the east side between the red dash line, which would be the eastern part of the new parcel, and the yellow line, which is the existing lot, there'd still be a strip that would allow access to that land if needed. Oftentimes these parcels are purchased by adjacent property owners or leased by the same farmer farming the other lots.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, go ahead.
whose district is this?
Good question.
I believe this is in Bill Leonard's district.
Okay. That new map just messes me up.
Doherty,
Go ahead, go, Doherty.
I'm just confused. How did this house get there? I mean, was it,
Actually,
the
this
farmer
happens, yeah, this happens all the time, be honest with you. I mean, somebody decide to build a house and less restrictions and
It depends when the house was built. Originally, when the county adopted a zoning ordinance in 1937, you could build a house on any size parcel with no restriction. And then they later changed that to 5-acre minimum, which also coincides with the Plat Act. So a lot of people would create a parcel using the Plat Act and they could build it on a 5-acre parcel. In the 1970s, the county increased the minimum lot size in the F district to 15 acres. This, I suspect, is the original parcel is about 15 acres, so it may have been built in that period. And then in 1992, I believe it was, the Kane County increased the minimum lot size to 40 acres. So that's why you won't see a new house be constructed on ag zone property unless the parcel was created prior to those dates. So I know that was a complicated answer to a simple question, but I hope that helps.
no, that's great, Mark. My question, though, but so that's not the farmer that's farming the land around there. It's just somebody a long time ago decided they wanted to build their house there.
I don't know in this particular case, that could be the case that someone just wanted to build a house in a rural area. And they did so on the 15-acre parcel. They most likely leased the balance of the land to an adjacent farmer. A lot of our farmers in the county lease the land that they farm on. Some own it. But given the fact that there's no barns or other agricultural structures on the property, it was probably someone who just wanted to build a house to live out there.
Okay, thank you.
Mother-in-law house. Mile down the road.
could be. I really thought there would be more land sectioned off for the house due to the fact that it sits back so far. That's the only surprise that I have. Any other questions or comments? If you would use a mic, please.
I'm Linda Schramer. I'm here on behalf of my mom, Nadine Flint. And actually, that entire 18.25 acres belonged to my mom and dad. Also, if that went down a little bit, there would be continued farmland. Probably they have about 120 acres.
Okay,
That ties back to my dad's parents. So when my parents built that house, that was their retirement home. They were only in their 60s at that time and continued to farm. My mom decided at the age of 92, it was perhaps time to leave this house out in the country and move into town. So she did that last fall. And so we would like to get the house sold off. So that's kind of why it's on that piece of property that way and continues on to the farm. At this point, my son, so my parents' grandson, operates all of their farmland in Kane County. Also, the additional 16 acres behind this is in the Kane County Farmland Preservation Easement. So after talking with Janice Hill, she said, you know, the smaller that parcel can be, we'd really like to keep as much farmland in that easement as possible. So that's why we chose about 2 acres.
So what, do you know what year this house was built?
90 something.
Really? Okay.
In the 90s, yes. And, you know, I can't remember if the 40 acres was already in place or not. Now, what I would say about where that property line ends, the very next piece behind it is their land also. So if they had needed 40 acres, they do own the land to the north of that existing property.
All right.
And then the next homestead, all the land behind that is my mom and dad's.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, can we get a roll call vote?
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Davist,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
passes.
All right, moving on.
Great,
Are you
thank
still
you.
up?
Yes, and Blair, if you could advance it, the clicker's not advancing for me for some reason. And in the meantime, Mrs. Schramer, thank you for that more fuller history. This is exactly why the Kane County Board included the F1 district to apply to provide this type of flexibility for our longtime farm families, and it is a unique zoning category that Kane County has. Oh, thank you. Okay, our next petition is 4611. It's a special use to request in the B3 Business District for an open air lot for car sales. Their 2040 land use plan, this is an area shown for commercial employment. This is completely surrounded by the city of Geneva. It's just west of Randall Road on Kesslinger, near the hospital. There is a strip of existing commercial structures there, and this is one of those in that strip. Here you see it on the zoning map. You can see, again, it's everything in the red striping is in the city of Geneva. And the area, there's a B3, a couple other special uses in the B3 district there, and then one E1 property across the street. Here's a close-up again for this particular parcel. Here's the aerial, and you can see the other existing commercial structures and uses in this stretch between Kesslinger and the railroad tracks. And you can see the pattern of the buildings being closer to Kesslinger Road, many of which have truck or other vehicle parking or storage along the railroad tracks. This particular parcel is an existing building and a smaller parking lot in front. Here's the existing survey. What they are proposing, Kesslinger Road on this diagram is shown to the south. They would continue to use the existing parking for cars as an open air lot for car sales. They would use the building for some inside showroom and then a office area. Here's the existing building and parking lot that would be used. Staff recommended comments, approval of the special use would allow outdoor car sales at this property. Recommended staff stipulations, Water Resources has stipulations regarding stormwater. health department. They would need to verify the current well and septic system to determine what's currently on the site there before they occupy it. These are the 6 factors that the zoning board reviewed in respect to this special use. Regional Planning Commission, it was not applicable. Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval with the recommended stipulations, and it's before you this morning for your consideration.
All right, can we get a motion a second? We got a motion, 8-Ball second.
Williams seconds.
Williams seconds. All right, up for discussion, questions and comments.
Just a couple questions.
Go ahead.
So Mark, I think there's an existing car dealer maybe adjacent to the west. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. We had maybe 4 or 5 years ago, a special use that was applied for and granted for the, I believe it's the parcel just immediately to the west.
And I think, Mike, is this your district? Yeah, do you have any objection to this?
No, I heard from no one and I don't have.
Could you use a mic, please, so we understand?
Yeah, Linda, yeah, this is in one corner of my district. I've heard no objections from anyone. I don't have an objection personally.
And is the applicant going to be the operator or is someone else going to operate? Because I believe that he's the owner of Mr. Emma's the owner of the dental facility, whatever they make there.
I don't know. Oftentimes these are to accommodate a lease for this type of business.
If I may, to the committee, this is Bill Wood. I'm attending via Zoom on behalf of the applicants, the Barviolix, and who will be operating the actual auto facility there in that property. It's not going to be a lease back. The intent is to buy the property from the existing owners and move the dealership that is currently, if you're looking at that picture to the left, to that new location. They've been operating in there for approximately 9 years. It's mostly internet auto sales, so it's by appointment only, kind of I would describe it as a hunt and pack. You kind of contact luxury imports and they find the car that you're looking for and try to buy that. So it's not, like a typical dealership where there's, people coming and going all the time.
So is the buyer going to be staying at the existing facility or going to shut that down?
They're intending to move, yes, shut that down and move to this new facility.
All right, because that explains the low number of parking spaces in this. That was
Correct.
going to be my comment. Any other comments, questions or comments? Go ahead.
Just, I'm correct in assuming that this is pretty much industrial or business as it, so if anything, it'll be an improvement as
Yes.
far as the looks and accessibility and who's going to be driving in there. And if they were to pave, which would be
Yes.
Jody's thing there, then they would become involved. Additional pavement or impermeable would be added, then that's a stipulation that they'd have to modify things.
That's correct. I believe Director Welnick had a question of the petitioner.
Thank you. I noticed that there's some gravel area that there's quite a few vehicles parked in the back of the current operation. The petitioner doesn't have that shown as a parking area. It's to remain grass back in behind the proposed. Is that to remain grass because we don't have a site plan that shows any kind of parking back there?
Yes, that's intended to stay grass. And I would just to say, those automobiles that you are currently seeing in that picture do not belong to my petitioner. There's an auto repair facility, I believe Tony's Auto Sale or Auto Repair. Those are his vehicles or what's left. So I would describe that as a mess. That mess is not our mess. So that mess will not follow us next door. And quite frankly, between us all here, all friends here, we'll be very happy to be away from that mess. So, but the parcel in back is intended to be grass.
All right. All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right. Seeing none online. Can we get a roll call vote?
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty. Mr. Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Iqbal,
Well, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Davist,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
passes.
All right. Moving on to property code enforcement.
Good morning, John Mall, Property Code Enforcement Officer. We prepared a monthly report, which is in your packet. Just a couple highlights from it. We had 50 new cases in June. 57 were active as of June 30th. We successfully closed 54 cases, which is our largest month yet. And we started 2 adjudications. That's our first 2.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Any questions? Comments?
Thumbs up on this side over here.
Yes.
Great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add that John and Colin's work has far exceeded our hopes and expectations. They came on board right as we got into our usual busy season. And as well as they sometime during earlier in July, they surpassed 100 total cases closed since they came on board. And that's a huge time saving and staff workload saving to other members of our team and other departments. And I think one of the unexpected or unanticipated surprises of their work is how quickly they're getting folks to get into compliance because of their initial friendly contact and then very quick follow-up and working with folks. So the fact that we only have 2 of their cases that they've taken on since coming on board, going to administrative adjudication, I think says a lot about the success of that type of early contact and follow-up from his team. So wanted to just note that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I do like to report and you show what's happening in each district individually.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we move on to planning and special, planning our special projects monthly report.
Yes, as usual, that outlines the work of our other planning and special projects team who report most of these activities to other committees, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
All right. Any questions, comments? All right, we moving on. Subdivisions. Deer Pond Woods variance. Good morning.
Good morning. We are out in Deer Pond Woods again. Seems like we have one of these about every single month. I believe this may be the last consolidation though that we have at Deer Pond Woods because they pretty much have rearranged the whole subdivision out there. In this case, we have 2 lots or 3 lots, lots 3, 4, and 5 that they wish to consolidate into 2 lots. So we're over here off of Randall Road and Red Gate. The parcels are down here. There's 3 lots there and they're going to consolidate that into 2. There is a residence that's on the lot 4 in the center right there. And Mr. French owns that parcel and he would like to expand a little bit into lot 5 and reconfigure a little bit of lot 3. So this is what the ultimate layout would look like. Lot 3 would be reduced by a little bit. Lot 4 would then increase to include both lot 4 and 5. And obviously the drainage easements that were along those previous lot lines would be vacated so they could readjust the drainage pattern in those lots. So technical staff has recommends the approval of this. It does not increase density and it does not reduce open space. It's been agreed to by the adjoining neighbors and all the jurisdictional entities that service this area. And we recommend approval.
All right.
Want a motion? I'll make
Yes, sir, I do. Thank
Caius
you.
1 second.
Gaius seconds. Questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Lebo, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to know what are the benefits to the petitioner by combining the 3 lots together?
Yeah, when he ends up with the lot, basically 4 and 5 combined together, he then has 5 acres of parcel. And his final goal is to be able to construct a pole barn in which to house his vehicles. I believe they're antique collector vehicles.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I thought I saw some of the hands up. Just with
But
you.
I just, can you
Caius?
clarify me in the slide just above that? Again, this is, it shows 3, which is small, 4 and 5 is bigger with a little triangle.
Correct, correct. Mr. Ziegler, the original developer of this parcel, currently owns lot 5. A number of years ago, I want to say back in 2016, Mr. Ziegler sold off to Mr. French that little triangular piece. So lot 5 had already been split at this point in time. And Mr. French had taken ownership of a portion of lot 5. He now owns 3 and 4 in that little triangle. And Mr. Ziegler currently still owns lot 5. And between the two of them, they wish to reconfigure these into 2 lots instead of 3.
Right. So that explains why that one building on the south side of 4 is,
Correct.
has a red line running right through the middle of it. They started
Correct.
early.
This is
Started
not,
early on the process.
this is not the first time this parcel has been to this committee.
Thank you.
Is that an extra garage or what?
It certainly is.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Already.
Go ahead.
Does it appear as though there are 2 buildings at the south corner of 5?
There are, down on here, there's 2 small little pole barns. Mr. Ziegler currently still does the maintenance on all the remaining vacant lots that are out in Deer Pond. He would like to retain those on a temporary situation going forward. So he stores his lawn equipment in there in order to keep the weeds and everything else down on the vacant lots in this subdivision. So once the development is completely built out, those pole barns will be removed.
Okay, so they're not residents or anything, so.
No, they're not. They're for storage of maintenance equipment.
Thank you.
All right. Nice catch. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
30 yes.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Davist,
Evis had to leave.
Caius,
Yes.
Williams,
Williams abstain.
Ford.
Ford, yes. All right. Thank you. Moving on, environmental resources.
Thank you. Under Water Resources, we have one resolution before the committee this morning. It's approving a budget adjustment for the Village of Big Rock DCEO grant administration with the Office of Community Reinvestment. As you recall, the village received about a $2 million grant from DCEO to resolve many of the flooding issues within the village and build a storm sewer along Route 30. Part of that work requires that we have a grant administrator, and the Office of Community Reinvestment is doing that administration. And so this moves the $23,000 that were budgeted under Water Resources over to their office for the administration of this grant.
All right. Can we get a motion?
Caius would move.
Second it.
All right, we got a motion, a second. Questions or comments? All right, seeing none. Thank you. Roll call vote.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
30 yes.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Davis, Caius,
Caius, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
passes.
All right, moving on. Office of Community Reinvestment. We have a resolution.
Good morning, Mr. Ford. This is Scott
Good morning,
Berger.
Scott.
Good morning. Yes, we do have one item before you this morning. The last item in your packet involves the renewal of a professional services contract. You'll recall that my office works with a network of social service agencies that deliver services to Kane County's homeless population, and that we track those services through our homeless management information system. In 2021, we did procure the services of an IT consultant. That firm goes by the name of Pathways Community Network Institute. And the resolution before you this morning is for the renewal of that contract for a 1-year period in an amount not to exceed $46,332.46. And finally, I'd just like to mention that 100% of this cost is covered with federal funding that we receive from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. We'd ask for you to approve this morning.
Brendan would make the motion.
We have a motion.
Berman second.
We got a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Roll call vote.
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Iqbal,
Well, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Davist, Caius,
Caius, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
passes.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, 3.
I don't think we have any new business. Can we get a motion unanimous, put our reports on file?
Linder would ask for unanimous consent to reports at file.
All right, seeing there's no objections. Moving on, I believe we do have a reason for executive session, which is it to review closed minutes? Correct. Okay. Can I get a motion and a second on that?
Caius would move. We go to closed session to discuss
Berman second.
release of closed session minutes.
And did I hear a second too?
Berman second.
Okay. All right. Give us a moment to,
Roll call.
We have to have a.
roll call.
Vote on
I'm
that?
sorry. Can we get a roll call vote?
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Iqbal,
Well, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Davist, Caius, Williams,
Yes.
Yes.
Here.
Ford,
Ford, present. Yes.
approved.
Okay, those online, please accept the invite to go into the closed session. Be aware, I will let you know when we're all together officially in that session. So please accept those invites, even if you are in the room with us.
Oh, thank you. Getting there.
All right, we're almost done.
Quite a few.
The lunch provided? No, you have to bring your own change. Just eat some more peanuts. Home. Won't have to be back here till 3. Yeah. So you need to ride back? No, 3, no.
Okay, you are in open session.
Please respond to these.
All right, can we,
Roll call.
attendance?
Get your glasses on.
Berman,
What? Yes.
Doherty,
Right here.
Iqbal,
Present.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linda here.
Davist, Caius,
Keep moving.
Williams,
Williams here.
Ford.
Board present.
You have quorum in the room.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, this is Caius.
Yes,
I would
sir.
move that we vote to approve the release as the release of closed session minutes as an Exhibit A.
Linda second.
Questions or comments?
Actually, the motion, I think, is to accept the recommendation of Exhibit A and not to release.
Will exhibit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's why you just stick to Exhibit A. So,
Yeah.
all right,
So that
so,
we do Exhibit A.
who seconded that? Was it Leonard?
So I can second it. As a clarification, it would be a motion to release the closed session minute as presented by the Secretary of State. No,
Yeah.
State Attorney's Office.
Assistant Attorney, which is to not release any.
It's not to release,
Right.
except Exhibit A, which is not to
What
release.
you are doing is you have reviewed the outstanding closed session minutes and adopt the recommendation in Exhibit A, which is, as I understand it, the only set of minutes that has not.
From
been
the
released
18th.
Is.
We don't,
April
I don't
18th.
think we even have to address what it is, just
No,
that it's an
but I'm just
Exhibit A.
saying,
This-
but I think it's confusing to say you're voting to release minutes when you're really not. You're simply reviewing them and taking the action.
Recommendation.
That's one motion. I'm sure that's what I said.
I'm positive. I
I'm
heard,
sure I said we will.
I seconded that
Keep it simple.
yes.
So
All right, can we get past this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, some understanding of what we're doing, which I think is clear. Can we get a roll call vote?
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Right, yes.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes.
Approved.
Mr. Kenya. Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourned. Second. And compliment you on getting through in reasonable time.
I get a free lunch if I make my next meeting, so,
We can all go up and watch the new voting machines
Can I
operation.
come?
yeah.
Paper ballots.
All right.
Love it.
All in favor by saying aye?